My name is Daniel James Carter. I'm 17 years old, and on Sunday morning, November 5th, 2017, I died on the wooden floor of First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, with 2 bullets in my back and the sound of screaming all around me. I was just a regular kid from a small town where everybody knew everybody. My dad worked at the feed store, and my mom taught second grade at the elementary school. We lived in the same house my whole life, a little white place with a front porch where my dog Rex would sleep in the summers. I played varsity football, made decent grades, and spent most Sunday mornings complaining about having to wear dress pants to church. But deep down, I loved our little church. It felt like family. That Sunday started normal. Mom made pancakes, Dad read the paper, and I was texting my girlfriend Sarah about meeting up after church. We drove the 5 minutes to First Baptist like we did every week. I sat in my usual spot in the fourth row, right behind the Johnson family. Their little girl, Emma, always turned around to wave at me during the singing. Pastor Pomeroy had just started his sermon about loving your enemies when I heard the first gunshot, then more shots, then chaos. I turned around and saw him. A man in all black with a rifle shooting at everyone. People were diving under pews. Kids were screaming. I watched Mr. Peterson, who taught my Sunday school when I was little, fall to the ground. I saw Mrs. Marshall trying to shield her baby. Something inside me just moved. I didn't think, I just acted. I jumped up and started running toward the back of the church where he was, not away from him, straight toward him. I was thinking about Emma behind me, about all the little kids, about my parents. The first bullet hit me in the shoulder and spun me around. The second one got me right in the back, and I went down hard. I could taste blood in my mouth, and everything started getting dark and quiet. The last thing I heard was my mom screaming my name. Then suddenly, I wasn't on that floor anymore. I was floating above everything, looking down at the whole scene. I could see my body lying there in a pool of blood. I could see my parents on their knees next to me. My dad trying to stop the bleeding while my mom held my hand and prayed. I could see the paramedics rushing in, but I felt no pain, no fear. Just this weird, peaceful feeling like I was watching a movie. There was this warm, golden light pulling me upward, like invisible arms lifting me. I wasn't scared at all. I felt more awake and alive than I'd ever felt in my whole life. Then I saw him. Jesus was standing right in front of me, and nothing, not Sunday school pictures, not movies, not anything could have prepared me for this. He looked strong and real with dark hair and skin that seemed to glow from the inside. But it was his eyes that got me. They were full of love so deep it took my breath away. When he looked at me, I felt like he knew every secret I'd ever had. Every time I'd messed up, every time I'd felt alone, and he loved me anyway. Daniel, he said, and his voice went straight through me like warm honey. My brave son. I tried to say something, but I just started crying. Not sad tears, tears of pure joy and relief, like I'd been carrying something heavy my whole life and could finally put it down. He reached out and touched my face, and waves of love poured through me. Love bigger than anything I'd ever felt. It was like being wrapped in liquid sunlight. You saved 12 people today, he said gently. Your courage stopped him from reaching the children. I hadn't even thought about that. I just saw people in danger and moved. But I need to show you something important, Jesus said. And his face became more serious. There are things happening in the spiritual world that my people need to understand. Suddenly, we weren't in that beautiful light anymore. We were standing at the edge of the darkest, most terrifying place I'd ever seen. The air felt thick and wrong. I could hear screaming and crying in the distance, and there was this awful smell like sulfur and death. This is where souls go who die with murder and hatred in their hearts. Jesus said quietly, Look, Daniel, I saw him. The shooter, the man who had just killed me, and so many others in God's house. He was in this pit of complete darkness, and he was screaming in agony. But it wasn't just physical pain. You could see in his face that he finally understood, really understood the horror of what he had done. Every life he'd taken, every family he'd destroyed, every moment of terror he'd caused, it was all hitting him at once, and it would hit him that way forever. He chose this path, Jesus said, and I could hear the sadness in his voice. Every time he chose anger over forgiveness, every time he fed his rage instead of seeking help, every time he rejected my voice calling to him, he was choosing this. But then I saw something that shocked me even more. There were others there, lots of others. People who had attacked churches and schools and other innocent places. They were all in the same darkness, all experiencing the same endless torment. They all made the same choice. Jesus said, they silenced my voice in their hearts until they couldn't hear it anymore. They chose to hurt my people, to attack places of worship, to harm children and families. This is the consequence of that choice. I watched as dark beings, actual demons, tormented these souls. The demons laughed and mocked them, reminding them of every evil thought they'd entertained, every chance for repentance they'd ignored. But Lord, I managed to say, couldn't you have stopped them? Couldn't you have saved them somehow? Jesus looked at me with such deep sadness. Daniel, I called to each one of them. I sent people to love them. I gave them countless opportunities to choose differently. But love must be chosen freely or it's not really love. They chose to reject me, to reject love, to reject life itself. He showed me more. I saw the spiritual battle that happens every time someone plans violence. I saw angels trying to stop them, whispering truth and peace. I saw demons feeding their anger, promising satisfaction that never comes, pushing them toward evil. Every attack on my people, on children, on families gathered in my name, is an attack on me personally, Jesus said. And his voice became powerful. And those who wage that war, this is their eternal fate. Then he showed me something beautiful. I saw the people who had died in the shooting, rising into the most amazing light. I saw Pastor Pomeroy there, looking young and glowing with joy. I saw the Hulams, all 8 family members together laughing and embracing 26 souls total, all welcomed into paradise. They died as martyrs. Jesus said they were killed simply for being in my house seeking me. Their reward is beyond imagination. But then his expression became urgent and he gripped my shoulders. Daniel, this is why I'm sending you back. My people need to know what's really happening. Every time someone walks into a church with evil intentions, hell itself celebrates. Satan thinks he's winning by making my people afraid to gather together. He showed me churches across America where people were now scared to attend, families staying home on Sundays because they were frightened, children having nightmares about Sunday school. This is exactly what the enemy wants. Jesus said, he wants my people scattered, afraid, isolated. He wants parents to keep their children away from me. He wants believers to stop gathering in my name. Then Jesus showed me how church attacks caused some people to lose faith entirely, how they made others angry at God, asking why he didn't protect his people, how they created fear and division in communities. But here's what Satan doesn't want people to know. Jesus said, his voice becoming strong, every act of evil only makes my light shine brighter. Every attack on my people can make their faith stronger if they choose to let it. And every person who dies in my house becomes a warrior in my heavenly army. He showed me something that made me cry. For every person killed in a church attack, he showed me dozens more people who came to faith because of the love and forgiveness shown by the victims' families. He showed me how communities came together, how churches grew stronger, how his name was glorified, even in the darkest moments. The enemy means it for evil, Jesus said, but I work all things together for good for those who love me. Then he looked straight into my eyes, and I felt the weight of forever in his gaze. Daniel, I'm sending you back with a message. Tell my people this. Do not be afraid. Do not let terror win. Keep gathering in my name. Keep bringing your children to worship. Keep believing that my house is a sanctuary, not because nothing bad will ever happen, but because I am with you always." He paused, and his voice became gentler but more intense. "And tell them this: every person who has ever harmed children or attacked my people will answer to me. Justice will come. Perfect justice. They may think that they have gotten away with it, but they will stand before my throne, and what you've seen today is only a glimpse of their eternal punishment." I felt chills run through me as he said that. "But also tell them," he continued, "that even now, even for those planning violence at this very moment, there is still time. My mercy is greater than any sin, but it must be received while they still draw breath. I am calling to the angry, the broken, the ones feeding on hatred right now. I am calling them to come to me, to let me heal their wounded hearts, to choose love instead of violence." Tears were streaming down my face. "Lord, will anyone listen? Will this make any difference?" Jesus smiled, and it was like watching the sunrise. "You've already made a difference. Your courage today saved 12 people. Your story will save many more. Some will hear your words and choose to walk into my house despite their fear. Some who are planning evil will hear your testimony and fall to their knees instead of picking up weapons." But then his face became serious again. "However, know this: more attacks will come. We are in the end times, and the enemy knows his time is short. There will be more violence, more attempts to drive my people away from gathering together. But also know this: I am with my people always, even when they walk through the valley of the shadow of death." He showed me one last vision. I saw churches across America filled with people who refused to live in fear. I saw children laughing in Sunday school despite the dangers. I saw communities of faith growing stronger, not weaker, in the face of attacks. "This is my will," Jesus said. "That love conquers fear. That faith conquers terror. That light conquers darkness." Suddenly, I felt a pulling sensation. I knew it was time to go back. "Lord, I don't want to leave," I said, panic rising in my chest. "It's so perfect here, so peaceful. Can't I just stay?" Jesus pulled me into his arms, and I felt like a little kid being held by the perfect Father. "My son, your mission isn't finished. Your parents need you. The people who will hear your story need you. And I need you to be my witness in a dark world." The pulling got stronger. "But remember," he said, his voice following me as everything started to fade, "you are never alone. I am with you always. And one day, sooner than you think, you will come back here to stay." The next thing I knew, I was gasping and coughing up blood in the back of an ambulance. Machines were beeping everywhere. My whole body felt like it was on fire. There were tubes in my mouth and IVs in my arms. "He's back!" someone yelled. "We've got him back!" My mom was there, her face strewn with tears, gripping my hand so tight it hurt. "Daniel, oh baby, you came back to me." The paramedics were amazed. They said I had been clinically dead for 19 minutes. No pulse, no brain activity, nothing. They had shocked my heart 4 times and were about to give up when it suddenly started beating again. Later at the hospital, one of the doctors kept shaking his head. "I've been an emergency physician for 25 years, he said. "With the blood loss you had and the time you were down, you should have severe brain damage if you survived at all. But your scans are completely normal. It's medically impossible." But I wasn't the same. Not in my body that healed amazingly fast. I was different in my soul because I had seen perfection, and now I was back in a broken world. For weeks, I could barely talk about what happened. Every time I tried to tell someone about meeting Jesus, I would start sobbing. The memory of his love was so powerful that everything else seemed gray by comparison. But slowly, I began to share. First with my parents, then with other survivors, then with reporters who came to town. The shooter had killed 26 people that day, including Pastor Pomeroy's 14-year-old daughter, Annabelle, and 8 members of the Holtcomb family. But the police later told us that my actions running toward him instead of away had distracted him just long enough for several families to escape through a side door. 12 people lived because of those few seconds. But that's not why I'm telling you this story. I'm telling you because Jesus gave me a message, and I promised him I would share it. If you're someone who has anger in your heart, who feels forgotten or hurt or filled with rage, please listen to me. That path leads straight to hell. I've seen where it ends, and it's more horrible than your worst nightmare. But it's not too late. Jesus is calling your name right now. He wants to heal your heart, to fill that empty place with his love. Instead of letting it fill with hate, don't wait. Don't feed the anger another day. Fall to your knees and ask him to help you choose love. If you're someone who's afraid to go to church, afraid to take your kids to Sunday school because of what might happen, I understand that fear. But please don't let terror win. Don't let evil accomplish its goal of keeping God's people apart. Your church needs you. Your children need to learn about Jesus. And you need the strength that comes from worshiping with other believers. Yes, there might be danger. Yes, bad things could happen. But I promise you this, if something happens to you in God's house while you're seeking God's face, you go straight to paradise. And if nothing happens, you get to be part of God's army, pushing back the darkness in this world. If you've lost faith because innocent people die in places that should be safe, I get it. I really do. Before this happened to me, I might have felt the same way. But I've seen the bigger picture now. Every evil act is temporary. Every injustice will be answered. Every tear will be wiped away. And love, real love, God's love, always